Hi guys, Josh from Smith Boys Racing. Just do a video. I won't say it'll be a quick one tonight. I'll run you through in live time. Just finished up racing yesterday. I'm just running through, cleaning the bike today. Tonight back out in the shed. I'm just going to clean the carbies out. 37 FCRs. Do it in real time just to show you how simple it can be. Run you through my process, what I do, a few little tips and tricks that I use. Each to their own, not telling anyone how to do it, but this works best for me. Got an Anderson plug on this battery. On this bike, credit to Tyler Moon, really good little things. When you're playing with methanol, you can disconnect it. Your bike's totally isolated from your power source. So, just one thing I will talk about. Fuel pressure gauges. Not a fan at all on these. Flick my fuel system on there. You'll see that this fuel gauge is reading nearly 6 psi. I'm circulating fuel through my system at the moment. That gauge is a new gauge, an Aeroflow liquid filled 0 to 15 psi gauge. Not accurate at all. Not a fan. Completely disregard them. I'll show you what to do to check your fuel system, your fuel pressure. What I like to use, you can see there 6 psi. The seats haven't blown off though, so it's not flooding. It's not accurate. I've had this bike nearly 2 years. I probably bought 3 or 4 gauges for it. My old FCR used to have a box of gauges, just wrote faulty on all of them. Not a fan of them at all. So yeah, what I'll do, I'll just disconnect this, isolate the power source when I'm playing with methanol. So what I like to do, got 2 feeds. I'm running a Mallory pump on this, really good pump, very good reliable pump. Pull this one off. Just got a rag here, just to catch any sort of methanol that does fall down onto the bike. It's not a big deal though, got no power, it'll just start evaporate. Anyhow, I just spark plug one, just so that I can drain the fuel tank on it. I never like to leave methanol in the fuel system. I'll show you what I do. Very low maintenance on these carburetors when you get them right. You don't need to do the return line because we've taken the feed off. We won't get any back through the return. I've got a dedicated bottle for methanol. It's just an old Newline radiator coolant bottle. Have to plug the battery back in here and the lanyard to power it up to get the fuel out. I'll drain the fuel tank and the fuel pump, completely run the system out of fuel. Just let it gurgle and spit and do all the rest of what it does. These are a push. You can hear it gurgling there. These don't like to pull fuel, they like to push, so you need the head pressure from the fuel tank above the inlet of the fuel pump. They don't like to pull, they are a low pressure pump. So there's my methanol, chuck it back in your drum. What I'd suggest, just leave it settle out for the night. What I mean by that is just any contaminants will settle out to the bottom of the drum. If you've got a full bottle, just take it off the top, just throw away whatever's on the bottle. Let the sediment sort of settle out of it. Now, what I'll do here, this is my return line. I've gone over the system. I used to run a regulator. I wasn't happy getting consistent fuel pressure with it. So you can see there how faulty that that gauge is. It's not even reading 0. It may be holding a little bit of... No, that should be open. That should be on 0. So you can see there that the fuel pump, the fuel gauge is faulty. Not even reading 0. They are a very low pressure pump. Pump and gauge. So you're running them at about 3 psi on these modern sidecars. I just don't think they can handle either the methanol or the accuracy of such a low pressure. Well then, now let's just show you this. This is how I check. So I've got this little Makita 18 volt compressor here. Comes with all these fittings. I like this little plastic one. I don't even know what it's for really. Maybe blowing up an airbed or something. I'll fit this one up. You can put it in your return line now. Sort of wedges in there. This is an analog, digital. This is a digital display on this. So you can verify it with like your tyre pressure gauge, either analog or digital, to confirm that this is actually correct. But if I fire this up now, I should read the cracking pressure of my spring in this check valve. I know guys run fuel taps, you can do the same too if you've got a fuel tap, a partially closed fuel tap. So if I hit this pump now, it's cleaning the line out. It's blowing all the shit out of it, all the methanol. But you can see that it's reading about 3.5, 3 to 4. Take the average of that. It's probably about 3.5 psi. So that is a really good little way of knowing what your fuel pressure will be holding in your system at your floats, rather than that dodgy gauge. I don't even worry about that gauge. I'll take it out eventually. So once I got to that point, got this little brass T-piece. This will completely isolate the fuel pump and tank from the carburetors. So the carburetors will now be isolated. They won't be part of the system. It'll be a closed loop with return to the tank. Just nip these up. Yeah. I should have got a funnel earlier. That's very small. I'll get a bigger one. What I'll put in this, guys put petrol, heard of petrol, I like kerosene. I use this low odor kerosene. I've done quite a bit of reading on them. It's harmless against O-rings, so I won't eat your O-rings, anything like that. It's not touching O-rings anyway. This is low odor kerosene. Get it from Bunnings. I got some today. I'm on my second 4 litre bottle. And what did I say earlier, about sort of 2 years or something. I'll leave this in the tank now, and you'll see it'll circulate through the fuel pump, through the check valve, through the T-piece. It'll go through the whole fuel system, except the carburetors. You don't need to give it the full 4 litres, you just give it 2 or 3, whichever you like. So that's on now. Turn the fuel pump back on. And Houston, we have a problem. I think this did happen to me last time. I think when I blew through, I might have upset something in the check valve. It should, by rights, come back through the return line, and I should be able to see it into the tank. There we go. It's just sucking the fuel up. It's just purging the fuel back out. This is now pure kerosene going through my system. Flushing all the methanol out. Yeah, that's the oil. So that's that. That's how the bike will stay now. Till I drain it back out. When I take it out, I do the same. I take all the kerosene out. Once I drain the tank, what actually happens, the kerosene and the oil that you put in the methanol will settle out. You'll see this little specky stuff in here. The colour of this, that's oil. That's the additive that you put in the methanol. It's actually sitting at the bottom of the kerosene. So once again, you sort of leave that. That's all oil. I've been using this for quite some time too. Even though you only put in about 20 to 40 mil per 20 litres, it does add up. I've used this one bottle for probably nearly 2 years or something. That's why it is the colour it is. Once I go to run the bike again, I'll do the same. I'll plug one and I'll just drain the whole system out. Put it back into the kerosene bottle, and I'll just get this little brush here. I'll put the whole rag into the tank. I'll just use the torch and I'll just wipe, sort of get the rag onto this brush. I'll just wipe all that oily sediment out of the tank, get it as clean as I can, back in with the methanol, flush it back out, purge it again with methanol. It's pretty much good to go. We've got this little cup. Most of these things you can find in your kitchen, your wife's kitchen, your mum's kitchen. If not, just a second-hand shop. You don't want to spend a lot of money, reject shop. What I use for the oil, I use a little medicine cup, 17.5 mil, but if you go right to the top, it's probably about 20. So I use a little medicine one for that. Use a little cooking cup here. Not to actually measure anything, but it fits under my carbies. All I'm doing now is just dropping these float bowls, 14 mil. This is a 12-point spanner. I'm not a fan of it. I'd rather a 6-point. Given that these are magnesium, these little float bowl caps, they are magnesium. They are quite expensive to buy replacements. I have bought them before. They're about $60 each. I know TLR does them now cheaper, but you can round them off quite easily. Given that they are an O-ring seal on them anyhow, you don't need tremendous amounts of torque when you do them. Sort of just snug. You don't want to round them off. There's no need to do 100 foot-pound on them. They do have no ring. This is methanol still in the carburetors. So. I'll just catch my methanol in my little bung as well. This one here unfortunately doesn't really fit. That's what the rag's for. Like I said, it evaporates anyway, it's alcohol. It evaporates. So if you can get yourself a 6-point spanner. This one, because the accelerator pump, it's a bit tricky to get into. And my little measuring cup doesn't really fit under here. So this one just goes on my rag. And that's fine, I don't care about that. I'll just disconnect that battery too while I've got a fresh handful of methanol. What I would like to do, something I did buy a 6-point socket. I am going to cut this one day and just make a little T-bar, weld a bit of 10mm on it and just make a little T-bar so I can just nip it up with the T-bar, but it's on the to-do list. Haven't got there. Once I get to this stage, we get the little football pump piece off the little Makita compressor. Now it's a right angle. What I can do, I can just put it straight up. I can actually get it right up into my jet. That's into my main jet there. So I can turn it on. This is a very low pressure. I think it's only about 7 or 8 psi. It comes out of this. Like it's not excessive, it's not 80 psi, so I'm going to blow anything out. I'll angle it up 45 degrees as much as I can in here to try and blow out that float valve. I'll do that. I'll do this on all 4. Bear with me, guys. You can blow back down through your rail too. It all goes down to your float valves. Once I get most of that methanol out, I use these. You can get these off some cans. They fit most cans. I think there's only one sort of aerosol spray can that doesn't fit. Good thing about this, you can hold the can and you can spray up. You can bend it around back on itself. They're very good. So you can actually pop them off the can if you can find one. You can pop it off. Just keep them, put them away in the cupboard. They do fit onto what I'm using, just CRC. Most hardwares have it. blow off, guys, because I don't have time to wait for them to dry. Yeah. Yeah, you want to keep these as hexagonal as you can. Not a lot of torque to be applied onto these. No crap in the bottom of them. It's all quite good. What I'll do now, just sit the can down as upright as I can. I'll stick this one straight up the bottom of the float bowl. Get this cap ready to go. And I'll just smother it. Smother those internals with CRC. This little brass T-piece, it's a little 8mm T-piece. I'm running 5/16 or dash 05 fuel hose. So I think I paid about $10 or something for that off eBay. Love eBay, you don't even have to leave your house. So good. Once again, try and angle it about 45 degrees to the back to get your float valve. Spray it around. These now I'll just put in and I'll just nip them up finger tight. I won't even tighten them. I'll just leave them. That's that. Nearly there. Bear with me, sorry. These are O-ring. So now what I'll do, I'll turn these all up 90 degrees as much as I can. Now the CRC will be taking the same path that the fuel will take, through the fuel rail down to the float valves, down into the float bowls because the floats are open. I'll top each one up a little bit. It'll just work its way down. It'll fill up. It'll fill up the float bowls. It'll work its way through. It'll start coming out the other one because they're a common rail. They'll come out, they'll find their level, they'll go down, they'll take it. It'll take it. What I've got now, I've got these little 5/16 rubber caps. Just got these off eBay as well. I think I got about 4 of these for $10 or something. Pop these rubber caps on. My system's now closed off. So I've got the CRC in the carburetors. Drained all the fuel out. Kerosene, low odor in the fuel tank. Through the fuel pump, through the T-piece, through the check valve. Everything's closed off, it's sealed, it'll just sit there now. It'll just stay like that until I decide to empty it. Drain it out. What I will do when I drain it out, like I said, blank this one, put my terps one over here, run the fuel pump, get the terps back out, gurgle the pump, run the pump completely dry, wipe the tank, put methanol in, just run it through, run it out the side, and just dispose of the first, maybe a couple 100 ml of it. Then I'll be nearly ready to put it onto my carburetors. I'll drop the float bowls with the rag under there, let all the inox come out, or CRC, whichever you're using. I'll put the pump back up the same, I'll blow all of it out with the compressed air. Then I'll put the lines on, still have these, whack these back in, whack the caps of the screws back into the float bowls. I'll then fill the floats with methanol. I'll get my cup, I'll drop it out, each one, drop it out, put it back in. Then I'll blow it out again. Once I've got methanol back in it. Put the caps in, test the fuel pump. Sometimes it will blow the seats. If it does that, whack it out again, give it another blowout. It might still just have a little bit of a CRC on the tips of the float valves. Blow it out again, put them in, test the fuel pump. When it holds pressure, I'm happy, I'll just nip them all up and it's good to start the bike. So that's my little process. That's in real time, hopefully it didn't take too long. If I do remove the carburetors, I just got 37mm plugs. Once again, Bunnings, my signature dropping stuff, as you can see. Yeah, a few dollars for a Kinetic. I'll just use bath plugs. Whack them in the manifold. Then the carburetors will get wrapped up in a rag and go away in a box, reject shop box. Just a container over there. Then, yeah, I'll oil the filters. Once again, raid your kitchen. Stainless steel mixing bowl. Your missus will never know what's missing. Mum will never know. So yeah, that's pretty much it, guys. Anyway, we'll leave it there for tonight. Yeah, hope you found it interesting. Until next time, bye for now.